Welcome to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. The countdown is on. It's only today, then tomorrow people will be celebrating Christmas. For those who value the day, there are other people who don't celebrate it. As you celebrate your Christmas, I want to take this opportunity to wish all those who are traveling safe journey, mercies, and all our drivers, please be very careful. During these festivities, we've always woken up to sad news. Like yesterday, already there were buses that had a head-on collision and people losing lives. Let us be very, very careful, and as we celebrate, we also need to be very careful. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want us to begin this analysis by listening to this hustler here.
Sisi tuliaganya tukakataa kuchagua Raila na watu wengi wanalia. Na wacha nikuambie, Kenya hii Raila akiondoka kwa siasa, wa Kenya watatembea miguu tupu. Jua tu mafisi tuko na hao. Wakae wakijua. Hawa ni mafisi tuko na hao. Hawa ni mafisi tuko na wao na wakae wakijua. Na sikudaganyi, nilipigia Ruto kula na saa hii hata ikirudiwa kula yangu yasipata. Afadhali kaanza Musyoka vile jamaa anasema. Mtu anajali mwananchi, mtu yake kikono yeye anafikiria na mtu ataka kusikia mawaidha ya wananchi. Ni kweli. Na bona watu wengi hata saa hii mtu akiitana mkutano. Ushauri mkutano yote kiona na watu. Juu wananchi wamechoka. The real fact, wananchi wamechoka. Akae kijua wananchi wamechoka. Either atembee mpaka India ama atembee wapi. Wananchi wamechoka na yeye. Hata kama ni rais wa Kenya.
So you've listened to this guy here. This guy has got like 3 hats, if you ask me. 1, he is a hustler. 2, yeye ni mtu wa boda boda. And 3, he comes from Mount Kenya. The reason why I'm doing this analysis is because the cry of this fellow Kenyan is just an ice of a tip of an iceberg, because he represents many people, not only from Mount Kenya, but across the nation, who are hoodwinked to vote for the Kenya Kwanza administration. And even as we cry fall, I want to tell you that William Ruto has got some more bad news for the hustlers and for the Kenyan nation. I'm not a prophet of doom, but I'm using evidence, and I want to showcase to you, I want to paint for you a picture that if you thought that the first year of Ruto's administration was bad, then the year 2024 is going to be worse. And I think we should be prepared. And like I said, I'm not a prophet of doom. Ladies and gentlemen, let's look at it, because it's reported that in 2024, Ruto plans to raid taxpayers for extra 362 billion Kenya shillings in 2024. Extra 362 billion. Very briefly, it's recorded there that President William Ruto's administration plans to raid taxpayers for an additional Kenya shillings 361.8 billion Kenya shillings to fund his second full year budget, which is set to cross the 4 billion Kenya shillings mark for the first time. So for the first time since independence, the budget in the Ruto administration is going to cross 4 trillion. It has never crossed that before. The draft budget policy statement for the year starting July 2024 shows the Treasury intends to increase budget to nearly 4.2 trillion shillings from the 3.9 trillion revised estimates for the current fiscal year. That is it. It is just what it is. It doesn't need any rocket science, ladies and gentlemen. The first year was rocked by, high taxes, domestic and foreign exotic borrowing, and people were crying the same cry that this hustler, has here. But then that is not enough, because the second year is gonna be mad. This budget estimate is going to come from you and I. It means more taxes. If you thought you were tired of the taxes, more are yet to come. They're also going even to borrow more from the IMF, World Bank, China, wherever, India. So William Ruto is going to continue with borrowing. We are going to continue paying more taxes. It does not end there, ladies and gentlemen. Kenyans to pay access fee to access government services. That e-citizen that you've been accessing free of charge. In 2024, it's not going to be free of charge. The government, through Treasury and Economic Planning Cabinet Secretary Njuguna Ndung'u, has announced the introduction of access fee for government services on the e-citizen. In a Gazette notice, Ndung'u stated that those seeking to access services on the platform shall be required to pay a nominal administrative fee per transaction. Now, you can imagine, they call it a nominal fee, and the table of that is here. Transaction below 199 will cost 5 shillings, between 200 to 299 will cost 10, between 300 to 499 will cost 15, between 5 to 699 will cost 20, between 700 to 999 will cost 25, over 1,000 will cost 50. This service has always been free. Now they have introduced a nominal fee. The funniest part of it is this, ladies and gentlemen. They can always review it, and you can be assured that they cannot review it coming downwards. It is going to be reviewed, going upwards. Now, in the midst of all this, see what Nation Media is reporting there, that it has been a bad year. The shilling was battered and the taxes went up. President Ruto's regime has so far not disappointed in disappointing, and everyone has mastered the art of blame shifting. That President William Ruto has not disappointed in disappointing. They continue to disappoint. And when you ask them, they continue. They have perfected the art of blame game. Why are the taxes high? We are paying Uhuru's sins. Why is the airport leaking? We are paying for Uhuru's sins. Why do we have rampant blackouts? It is because Uhuru bought, faulty generators. So every predicament, every economic mess that we have, instead of confronting the challenges that we have, we continue to blame Uhuru Kenyatta, notwithstanding the fact that when they were campaigning, they really reprimanded Uhuru Kenyatta for increasing taxes. They said Uhuru had messed up our economy, and they said they had a blueprint to resuscitate our economy. Now everything has fallen flat, and they continue to blame. The levies that are going to be introduced, because for the budget estimate of 4.2 trillion shillings to be achieved, we are going to be taxed. Now this tax, remember, we also have the housing levy that was rendered illegal by our courts, but the courts were intimidated and they allowed Ruto to collect this money up to 2024. In due course, the majority leader in the National Assembly, Kimani Ichung'wah, has introduced another bill in Parliament that seeks to reintroduce the housing levy. William Ruto recently told us that this will be achieved by force because he's got a sword that is not meant to cut vegetables. The sword is meant to cut people or deal with people who are trying to oppose his policies. So you can imagine all these taxes. We also have the housing levy that William Ruto is hell-bent on achieving and implementing by force. So whether by hook or crook, this has to continue. The cost of education. Under this, I say this with a lot of concern, that as we celebrate, please let us note that in just the next 1 week, students will be going back to school, pupils will be going back to school. I know most of you have been communicated to, especially those who take their children to private schools, that they intend to review the school fees. Others were informed even before they closed the last terms, last year's the school calendar. So the cost of education is high, and the government does not intend to reduce it. Ladies and gentlemen, it is really sad that what we expect to be perpetuated in the year 2024, basically, if you are balancing, if you had a balance sheet and you want to carry forward, I want to submit to you, without fear of contradiction, that we are going to carry forward the housing levy despite the fact that the courts overruled it. We are going to carry forward those heavy taxes, the cost of education. We are going to carry corruption, looting and wastage. Already you have seen David D at loggerheads with most Kenyans because he tells them there is no hope. He's told us that there's a lot of wastage in the government and there is no hope. And he's saying that we are in an economic mess that we are not about to get out of. This is why we continue to borrow, yet William Ruto said he was not going to borrow. The controller of budget, Margaret Nyakango, has told us that people are inflating prices of other staff members to pocket that money. And you all know that she's also given a dossier how the government is corrupt. Corruption is entrenched, and that is why they even want she was arraigned in court. And so everything, the Nandi senator Samson Cherargei is telling us, everyone in this government is corrupt. Those we entrust with taxpayers' money, with leadership, are not doing us any good. So we are carrying that to the year 2024. It will be more painful. It will be more painful. But if you ask me, God has given us this government, especially those who voted for it, like this hustler here. They were duped and hoodwinked that they were the hustlers and the others were dynasties. And William Ruto told them that he rose from an egg vendor selling eggs here and there, and he rose up to the position of a deputy president, and so that was hope to the hustlers, and it was an assurance that every person's dream was valid. Now see where we are, and people are really crying, especially those who are coming from Mount Kenya. This is not an isolated case. There are many who are not coming from Mount Kenya, but they voted for William Ruto because of the lies. There are those who voted because William Ruto said he was a man of God. They said Uhuru Kenyatta was a drunkard, does not go to church, Raila ni muganga, and all those people. You've seen the church has made an about turn, and Reverend Wainaina is not having kind words. And he's saying that he can look at Ruto in the face and tell him, I will not vote for you because you used the church platform to get to power. Now you are perpetuating corruption, you are intimidating people. Ladies and gentlemen, as I told you, I'm not a prophet of doom, but I've given you evidence that 2024 is not going to be an easy year for us because they are increasing taxes. But are we learning? Because we messed up. But if we are presented with another opportunity, do you think we are going to vote differently? Because I'm sure even if you ask some people now, you've seen some young youths there who voted for the first time saying that sisi tulidanganywa, tulikuwa tunaambiwa Raila ni mganga, haizi kuwa kiongozi bora, hajatairiwa, tuliambiwa Uhuru ni mbaya. But then it's not enough that we lament. It's not enough that we recognize that we made a mistake. And this is not just to Mount Kenya. All those people who feel that we were hoodwinked, because to err is to human. William Ruto was talking good, and when he had a platform of talking to people, you would think that this was going to be the next savior. He had a blueprint, a remedy to all our economic, social, and political, suffering. But now we realize that, do we say the devil incarnate? I don't know whether that term is too strong, but I think that is who he is. If we are presented with another opportunity, because it is like God gave us this to know, to learn, that next time we are given an opportunity, we need to be careful. Like in 2026, William Ruto is going to reduce the prices of everything. And he will be traveling everywhere telling people that I've heard your cries, now I've decided to reduce. Will we still swallow the bait? As always, I don't want to spread despondency, because I know God is still with us. We shall overcome. We must continue, demanding our rights. we must continue compelling the government to listen to us. Like in the housing levy, we should not allow it. I know he was threatening people with the sword, but we must also remind him that apart from the sword that he was given, he was also presented with a constitution that we fought for when he opposed it. So even though he opposed it, he's now the president of Kenya. He has no other choice but to respect and protect that constitution. I don't know what you think, but that is my take. Again, ladies and gentlemen, wishing you a very prosperous year ahead of us.